Good morning everyone, guess where I am today? I am on Victoria Embankment as I'm travelling on board RM 371. London buses RM 371 travelling out of service from Victoria Embankment down to Wandsworth Garage, courtesy of my driver, the one and only Mr. Robert Allendale, or Robbie to you and me, Robbie the Routemaster. So yeah, this is a fine afternoon here in October 2025, so hopefully you'll join us for this little journey all the way down to Wandsworth Garage on this lovely autumnal afternoon. So this is the Victoria Embankment. Some of you will know this from the tramway days from 1952, when you had the reserved section of track along here. The only reserved tramway track in the whole of London was here on the Victoria Embankment itself. So we're now heading off on the start of our little journey down through the streets of inner southwest London back to Wandsworth Garage. Hopefully we won't get caught up in too much traffic, but it's now the afternoon rush hour, so we might get caught up in some traffic, but we'll play this one by ear anyway. As you can see on the centre of your video, you have that little needle. That's Cleopatra's Needle, that stone obelisk on the right hand side, which was gifted to the UK from Egypt back in the 1800s. So there's Cleopatra's Needle along with the two sphinxes guarding the base of the needle. And the sphinxes are actually facing the wrong way. They're actually supposed to be facing outwards and not inwards. But that's Cleopatra's Needle anyway, just behind those London plane trees. And very shortly we're going to go underneath Waterloo Bridge. Waterloo Bridge being rebuilt in 1942, and it was known as the Ladies' Bridge, because back then there was quite a large female workforce who rebuilt the bridge, seeing as most of the men were out fighting for king and country during World War II. So just here in front of us, that's Waterloo Bridge in its brutalist concrete style. So now going underneath Waterloo Bridge, and on the left hand side, this nightclub just here, this used to be where the southern end of the Kingsway tramway subway came out. On the left hand side, that's the back walls of Somerset House, part of the King's College institution. And very shortly we shall be turning left towards the likes of Aldwych to head back towards Waterloo and southwest London. So if you continue straight on along Victoria Embankment, that takes you towards Blackfriars and the city. So we're turning left past Temple Underground Station, and also we're going to be passing this cab shelter on the right hand side. Just here on the right hand side, this little green shed you can see in the centre of the video, that's actually one of the many cab shelters in this part of central London, just outside Temple Underground Station. So we're now going up Arundel Street. It's either Arundel Street or Surrey Street. I always keep forgetting which one it is. It's one of the two anyway. On the left hand side you've got the exit to what was Aldwych Underground Station, which closed 30 years ago, back in September 1994, when the Piccadilly line closed down its Holborn to Aldwych shuttle service. So now coming up to Aldwych itself. So in front of us, that is the back end of Australia House, which is the home of the Australian High Commission. And we've got St Mary Le Strand Church just there on the left hand side. So the right hand side, these buildings on the right hand side, this was where they filmed the Gringotts Bank. You can just see the chandeliers inside. That's where they filmed the scenes for Gringotts Bank in Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. That was the building that was used as the interior of the Gringotts Bank. So we're now coming up to the junction of Aldwych itself, so very shortly we'll be turning left at this junction as we head towards Waterloo. Hope everyone's all well. Everyone's keeping out trouble and mischief and stuff. I am, as you know. And that's even a tall order for my humble good self. So yeah, everything's all good so far. Everything's ticking over nicely, as they say in the trade. Just come back from a private hire working on board RML 2331 with London Bus Company. So I thought it'd be a cheeky little sausage and hitch a lift on RM 371 back to Wandsworth Garage. And that'll tally in with what I'm planning on doing tonight. So we're now coming up to the junction of Kingsway. So this is Aldwych heading west. We've got the junction of Kingsway coming up on the right hand side. Kingsway, of course, which takes you towards the likes of Euston and Camden Town and places north of the river, as well as Holborn and other interesting places. So now we're coming up to the afternoon rush hour here in Aldwych, so yeah, we'll probably get a bit of traffic, but hopefully it should all sail along nicely. To our left hand side we've got a new bus for London, or a Boris Monster on Route 87. Got another one passing us by on the 76 on the right hand side. So this is the junction with Kingsway, Bush House on the left hand side, as we go underneath these wonderful London plane trees on the western end of Aldwych, passing the theatres and of course the Waldorf Hotel on the right hand side. And there's the new bus for London, which is LT236, just visible on the right hand side. This is where the fun begins, boys and girls. Also on the right hand side we've got the Novello Theatre, where they're showing Mamma Mia. The one and only Mamma Mia from the one and only ABBA, my all-time favourite pop group from Sweden, who dominated the charts in the 1970s and early 80s. And of course now their legacy still lives on with ABBA Voyage. So now coming up to the western end of Aldwych, where we'll be turning a left onto Lancaster Place. So this is Lancaster Place. We've just got to watch out for all these suicidal commuters along here. And just in the right hand side on the middle of the road, that's where the Strand Underpass begins, which used to be part of the original Kingsway tram subway up until 1952, and then it became the Strand Underpass from 1964, and it's only open to northbound traffic. So now we're crossing over the northern side of Waterloo Bridge. Look at that for a picture. There's Westminster and the London Eye. Over there you've got the House of Parliament, Big Ben and the London Eye, and then on the right hand side we've got the City of London and St Paul's Cathedral. Just zoom in a bit. There you've got the walkie-talkie building in the middle of your screen there. There's St Paul's Cathedral in the middle of your screen, and the River Thames. And there's Blackfriars Bridge, Blackfriars Railway Bridge and Blackfriars Road Bridge. Blackfriars Station being unique in that it's the only railway station in London which straddles both sides of the River Thames. And also coming up on the left hand side we've got the National Theatre in all its 1960s brutalist architecture. So we're now coming up to Waterloo, so we're at the southern end of Waterloo Bridge now, as we come off onto the Lambeth side of the river. So that means we're in South London now, i.e. the best part of London, but then I am biased because I am from South London anyway. LOLs! Also coming up in the centre of your photo is the London IMAX Cinema, the BMI IMAX Cinema, which is this round glass building here in the middle of your screen, as we head round a famous IMAX roundabout, and then hopefully we'll get past Waterloo Station. So this is the famous Bullring roundabout just by Waterloo Station. And then on the left hand side, leading off on the left hand side, is Stamford Street. You've got the fine Victorian buildings of the Schiller International University on the left hand side just there. And then straight in front of us you've got the 1924 buildings of Waterloo Station. Oh, we're actually going down Waterloo Road. That's a nice street. And look, there's a Bakerloop. Woo! Bakerloop! Couldn't escape if I wanted to. So there's one of the new Bakerloop buses. That's on the Bakerloop BL1 service, which links Waterloo with Lewisham via New Cross and Elephant and Castle. We've got another Bakerloop coming up on the other side of the road. just behind these traffic lights, underneath the railway bridge which carries the Kent main line from Charing Cross Station. There's the Baker Loop there. Woo! Baker Loop. Woo! Look at that, boys and girls, look, Baker Loop. Or as we call it, the Baker Poop. Let's show you in more detail, shall we? There it is, there's the Baker Loop. There we are, look, we've got a brand new, there's a brand new Baker Loop bus service which was introduced back at the end of September 2025, which runs on the proposed routing of the Bakerloo line's extension from Waterloo to Elephant Castle, New Cross and Lewisham. So we're now heading down Waterloo Road, which is a nice change of scenery. On the right hand side, that's the old Waterloo Road fire station, which was built in 1910 for the London Fire Brigade, and it was actually taken out of service and closed in 1986. So that's the old Waterloo Road fire station. Coming up on the right hand side, we have a new bus for London in the Tropicana all over advertising livery. So we're now doing a right turn into Baylis Road. There's the Aldwych Theatre there, a prominent landmark in this part of South London, this part of Lambeth. So we're now coming into Lambeth as we turn into Baylis Road, as we play the game of Dodge the Commuter, Dodge the Idiot. Straight ahead, that's Lower Marsh, where you've got all the markets and the trendy shops and restaurants and wine bars and stuff. So this is Baylis Road, which takes us right into the heart of Lambeth. Baylis Road being served by buses on Route 59 and 76. So we've got number 59 in front of us in the form of a Routemaster LT980. Yep, LT980. We've just passed it by, and then we've got another couple of Routemasters there. One on the 76 on the right hand side and another one on the 59. I think they've actually got rid of the bus terminus that used to be in the middle of the road here, because years ago the 76 used to terminate in the middle of the road. Oh, we've got a Superloop bus coming just behind this 59. There's one of the new Superloop buses on the SL6. Ooh! It's one of the new Superloopies. I love the Superloopy. It's a great little service. Superloopy nuts are we, me and him and them and me. We'll show you what we can do with a number 1 and a number 2. Yes, that's my little song for Superloop. And those of you who were around in the 1980s probably remember that song from Chaz and Dave. It used to be called Snooker Loopy. I call it Superloopy for obvious reasons. So now we're in the heart of Lambeth, the scenic delights of Lambeth. So we'll be turning left at this junction. This is where you've got the western end of Baylis Road, and then it becomes Westminster Bridge Road, just by Lambeth North Station. Lambeth North Station being on the Bakerloo line. So our lights are changing to green, and forward we go. And with Robbie's expert driving, there's no need to feel frightened. Lovely fellow is Robbie, absolutely lovely fella. So there's Lambeth North Station in its Leslie Green architecture there from the 1900s. So we're now going down Kennington Road, Kennington Park, yeah, Kennington Road. This is where Charlie Chaplin grew up. There's a house further along where he used to live, along Kennington Road. And over the road there you've got the famous Hercules pub. That's been there since the Romans invaded, so that's the Hercules pub. So we're now on the northern end of Kennington Road, in the heart of Lambeth. Another very pleasant tree-lined street. There we are, lights are changing to green, and onwards we go. Worcester! Ooh! So this is a nice little stretch of road, Kennington Road. Very shortly we'll be passing the Imperial War Museum. At this next set of traffic lights we'll be passing the Imperial War Museum to our left. So there's the Imperial War Museum just behind those trees. Not sure if you can see it because you've got all these trees in the way, but that's the Imperial War Museum building. Might just get a glimpse of it in this gap between trees. So there it is, just there somewhere, hidden behind all these London plane trees. So we're now heading down Kennington Road. So a bit further down here is the house where Charlie Chaplin grew up as a young boy. And there's actually a blue plaque on the wall to commemorate the fact that Charlie Chaplin lived there before he became a worldwide global icon. So this is Kennington Road. This was actually served by trams up until 1952. And a very nice street it would have been in tramway days when you had all these lovely trees and trams running up and down here. Very nice wide street is Kennington Road, as you can see. Got a Routemaster on the right hand side on Route 3 bound for Victoria. And then you've got another Routemaster coming up, operating on Route 59, going to Smithfield. What a beautiful day. beautiful. Looks like summer's still having the final say. Summer's final push. And at the end of this month, obviously the clocks go back an hour and then we've got 5 months of winter to endure. Boo! But then 5 months will come and go in a heartbeat. It does to me anyway. There we are, there's the house just there on the left hand side, this house here with the red door. That is the house in which Charlie Chaplin lived in and grew up in when he was very young. So this is the crossroads here with where are we? Yeah, Kennington Lane. And you've still got this old cast iron stink pole here in the middle of the road. So we've got Kennington Lane that goes off towards Vauxhall, that's turning off on the right. We go straight on, still along Kennington Road. Looks like we've got the police behind us. Wasn't me, officer. Rules. Yep, there you go. There goes the bill. He's not going to sell much ice cream running at that speed, is he? Lols! Anyway, we're coming up to the southern end of Kennington Park Road in a little while, so very shortly we'll be turning right into Kennington Park Road towards the direction of Clapham. This little spot on the right hand side, this little green, this was actually where Batman filmed his public safety video, public service film, where he was teaching young children how to cross the road in the 1960s. This was the spot where Adam West, the late Adam West, who was dressed up as Batman, he was doing his public safety video teaching children how to cross the road back in the 60s. That was the spot. Oh, look what we've got here. We've got a multicoloured Routemaster. Woo! LT 702 in multicoloured advertising livery. Woo! So now we're coming to the junction with Kennington Park Road. So this is the southern end of Kennington Road. Now this ugly looking building here is an office block, but back in the 40s and 50s this site used to be a pub called the Horns Tavern. And the Horns Tavern used to be a pub which used to be a music hall, and that was where Charlie Chaplin did one of his first public appearances, at the Horns Tavern, when he was probably about 14 or 15 years old. So you could see the show business aspect in him even then. But unfortunately the Horns Tavern was demolished in the 1960s, 1970s, and you've got this ugly looking office block put in its place. So straight ahead is Kennington Park. Lovely little park in this heart of Kennington. So we've got Kennington Road up there, that takes you towards Elephant and Castle, or Effluent and Crap Hole as I call it. So we're heading southwesterly now, so this is Kennington Park Road, which is actually the A3. So if you keep driving along this road all the way down, that will take you all the way to Portsmouth. All the way down to Guildford and Portsmouth. So this is actually the A3, this is the road, the main road that links London with Portsmouth. And if you turn left at this junction, that takes you towards Camberwell and Brixton. And also it takes you to Peckham, which is only fools and horses country. But we're going straight on towards the direction of Clapham. Pretty shortly we'll be passing Oval Underground Station on the right hand side. Oval Station being of course for the Oval Cricket Ground. The Oval Cricket Ground of course used to be the former Surrey County Cricket Ground. Because 300-400 years ago this area used to be part of Surrey. So coming up to Kennington Church. Kennington Church will be behind these trees on the left hand side, and Oval Underground Station is this building here on the corner on the right hand side. Oval Station being part of the London Underground Northern Line from Elephant and Castle all the way down to Balham, Tooting and Morden, which will celebrate its centenary next year when it opened in 1926. So there's Kennington Church, which is this fine building here on the left. Just about see it, yep, there we are, there's Kennington Church with its Greek ornate columns. So that's Kennington Church. So now heading southwestwards along the A3, where very shortly we'll be coming into Stockwell, or as I call it, St Ockwell. You've got the three saints, no, you've got the four saints. You've got St Ockwell, St Anmore, St Ratford and St Ames. St Ames being of course in Surrey, home of the LEG, or nowadays they call it Staines upon Thames. Talk about polishing a turd. Anyway, enough of that sort of political rambling. You know, I'm not here to talk about politics unless, you know, someone pulls my pliers, as it were. So we're still on Kennington Road, passing these Victorian townhouses which have been here for the past 200 or so years. So these would have seen trams running past until 1950-51, when the tramways in this part of London were replaced by motor buses. So yeah, this is actually the main A3 road which links the City of London all the way down to Guildford and Portsmouth. So it's about 70 odd miles from here to Portsmouth. Oh, just got wet at these traffic lights now. Nice chance to relax and enjoy the scenery and everything. And as you can see, I've got RM371 all to myself. Hey, hey, hey. Best job in town. So this is RM371. Nice little bus, this one. Very nice little bus. Nice little open topper. Nice little earner. So very shortly we'll be coming into Stockwell, which is the interchange station on the underground between the Northern Line and the Victoria Line. We've got the 1900s Printworks building just here on the left hand side. Absolutely superb Victorian building this. Knock them all you like, but the Victorians, they certainly knew how to build some impressive buildings back in the day. All these beautiful Victorian townhouses like these buildings just here behind these trees. This is proper Victorian architecture compared to the 1960s and 1970s architecture that you've got over there on the right hand side. So this is Stockwell. This is where the actor Roger Moore grew up when he was young. And Roger Moore, his father was actually a policeman. and I think that's where Roger Moore got his inspiration for being James Bond. So this is Stockwell, this is where Roger Moore grew up. And I think out of all the James Bonds that I've seen, I think Sean Connery and Roger Moore, they're my two favourite James Bonds. Roger Moore being the first and Sean Connery being the second, because my humour and Roger Moore's humour was very similar. And Roger Moore, as you know, he was the perfect gentleman. And it was just nice that in Moonraker you had his character of James Bond and Richard Keel's character of Jaws, and they patched things up and they became friends, and I thought that was a nice ending. That I would have loved to have met Roger Moore and the late Richard Keel as well. I heard a lot of lovely things about them, especially the late Richard Keel. Absolutely lovely fellow, tall as anything, but absolutely looked menacing in Jaws, but deep down you knew he was a big softie if you treated him with respect. So yeah, I really regret not meeting Richard Keel. I heard so many lovely things about him. So yeah, this is a busy road junction here in Stockwell. This is where the road junction for Brixton turns off on the left. We go straight on towards Clapham, and you've got the clock tower just in the middle of your screen there, just behind the sun in this afternoon, late afternoon here in London, southwest London. And then also shortly coming up on the left hand side we have the Swan pub, which is a local landmark in Stockwell. As you can see, I'm not belching today, which makes a change. My trademark belching isn't with me at the moment because I've only had a few snacks, so I haven't had anything major in me yet. I'm going to have my dinner later on, but at the moment I've just had a few snacks and I'm happy. I'm always happy when I'm snacking. So this pub on the left hand side just at this junction is the Swan pub, which is the famous local landmark in Stockwell. So at this junction here you've got Stockwell Underground Station just behind the sun on the right hand side. At this junction here we go straight on towards Clapham. If you turn left at this junction, that takes you down towards Brixton and Streatham, etc. We're going straight on towards Clapham and Clapham Common, which is a lovely part of southwest London, which we'll come to in a short while, once we get through these traffic lights and stuff. And also in Stockwell you've got Stockwell Bus Garage, which was one of the marvels of engineering when it was built in 1951. Oh, there you go, I've got a belch, there's a belch. So do excuse me, that was just a slight belch, you know, hopefully that wasn't picked up, and if it was, well, tough. Yeah, so you had Stockwell Bus Garage, which is just out of sight on the right hand side of this video. Stockwell Bus Garage was built in 1951 as a tram replacement bus garage, and it's well known for its distinctive architecture like an aircraft hangar. And I think it's the only bus garage in the UK that doesn't have any central supports. It's all overhead concrete, precast concrete, and it's an amazing building from the outside and the inside. One of the 8th architectural wonders of the modern world. Here's the Royal Oak pub, which is used by Stockwell's Brazilian community and Portuguese community. So this area is called Little Portugal because you've got London's Portuguese and Brazilian community and Filipino community in this part of London. So now going up this slight hill, so this is Clapham Road now, which obviously takes us towards Clapham itself. The northern line of the underground float travels directly underneath here somewhere. 345 bus in front of us. 345 running all the way from South Kensington to Peckham. One end of the social scale to the other. Quite an interesting route, that, the 345, because it replaced the old 34 tram route in 1950 at the start of London Transport's Operation Tramaway scheme. Well, I've got the green arrow on the traffic lights, which means we can go forward, even though the traffic lights are on red. But we can go forward because we've got the green arrow. It's red for all other traffic, but we've got the green arrow for us. There's one of the new P5s on the other side of the road. One of the Wright GB Kite electroliners there on the P5. Bound for Elephant and Castle. Or Effluent and Craphole. Got some more emergency vehicle sirens coming up. I think this one could be an ambulance. Yeah, it's an ambulance. As you can see, the traffic's going to be a bit busy along here because we've got the start of the rush hour and everything, so we will be moving, so we've just got to sit tight for a bit and let the traffic flow in its own little way. Here we go, the ambulance is about to overtake us. There we go, there's the ambulance. Might be going to St George's Hospital. Oh, shut up, you sausage. So impatient, some people in London, honest to God. That's the thing about being a motorist in London. You can't do right for doing wrong sometimes. You pull over to let the ambulance go past and you still get beeped at by some idiot on the other side. I think, well, that's gratitude for you, isn't it? It's times like this I'm glad I'm taking the bus. Times like this I'm just glad I don't drive. And looking back on it, I'm glad I don't. So we're still on Clapham Road, so very shortly we'll be coming along past Clapham North Underground Station. Here's some more nice Victorian townhouses, like this beautiful building here on the left hand side. Look at that architecture. Aren't these houses so beautiful? And to think that when these houses were built back in the early 1800s, some of these would probably have had a maid or a butler or something. Absolutely beautiful architecture, and this was all built by hand. So you can make fun of the Victorians all you like, but they gave us some wonderful buildings. So we're stuck behind this Enviro 400 bus on the 345. One of the Transport London UK Enviro 400s, no less. 345 originally being the 45A until 1997 when it was renumbered 345, but the original route was 45A. But since 1997, London Transport, the bus routes no longer have A or B suffixes now. So all the bus routes have been renumbered into different numbers. So all the A's and B's and C's have all been dispensed with now. So we've got some temporary traffic lights coming in front of us, so that's what's slowing all of us down. So we've got to get through these temporary traffic lights on this set of roadworks just here on the left hand side. Let's see what they're digging up this time, shall we? Could be water main repairs or gas main repairs. So there's Clapham North Station just here, this grey building here, that's Clapham North Underground Station. And very shortly we're about to go underneath the Kent Main Line, which is this railway bridge in front of us. This is a railway bridge that carries the Kent Main Line from Victoria out to Brixton and Herne Hill, etc. And it also carries the tracks of the London Overground Windrush line. from Clapham Junction down to Peckham Rye and Denmark Hill. So this is the Kent main line right above us. And then we come out onto Clapham High Street. So this is Clapham High Street now that we're on. It's not too busy heading away from London. As you can see, it's busy heading into London, but it's not too shabby heading out of London. So we're doing all right, and we're heading off into the sunset, which is beautiful. One thing I love in life, and that's walking or travelling into the sunset. Where would we be without the sun, eh? We'd be a right miserable lot. And it's thanks to the sun that makes us stay all healthy and alive and happy. So let's keep it that way, shall we? So yeah, we're now heading southwestwards along Clapham High Street. We're still on the A3, and very shortly we'll be passing Clapham Common, which is a beautiful part of southwest London. Oh, there's also if you just look over there, there's actually an old Ghost advert from the Victorian era. Ooh, look at that, look, Gillette shaving. Wow, an old Ghost advert. I love these old Victorian Ghost adverts. It's amazing that some of them are still dotted around in various parts of London and the UK. Always worth looking out for. I must admit I'm actually a Ghost advert freak, because I love taking photographs of Ghost adverts, because they're parts of our history that are still there, you know, and they're sort of forgotten about. Now on the left we've got this branch of Sainsbury's, the supermarket Sainsbury's, this ugly looking glass building on the left. That was originally Clapham Bus Garage, and in the early 60s until 1973 it was the Museum of British Transport. Now the Museum of British Transport, that housed all of the old London buses, trolley buses, trams, as well as various railways, you know, trains, locomotives and that sort of thing. And the Museum of British Transport was actually disbanded in 1973 because all the buses and the underground stuff went to the then new London Transport Museum in Syon Park, and all the railway exhibits went to the National Railway Museum in York, which opened in 1975. So we're coming up to Clapham Common Underground Station, just here in the middle of your photo, along with the famous clock tower just there. So what we're going to do now, we're going to be turning right into Long Road. If we keep going straight on, that takes you down towards Balham and Tooting. But we're going to be turning right towards Clapham Junction and Wandsworth. So we're coming up to the busy junction here at Clapham Common. So we'll be following this 345, well, running in parallel with this 345, all the way through towards Clapham Junction. Got some nice old buildings along here. Look at this beautiful Victorian building here. Another prime bit of Victorian architecture. And this cute little Dutch coloured blue building. It looks like one of these buildings you see in places like Holland or in Belgium and places like that. And then you've got this little mock Tudor building, that black and white mock Tudor building there in the centre of your screen there. So the traffic lights have changed to green, so we're going to be turning right towards Clapham Junction and Wandsworth. And like I say, if you keep going straight on, that takes you down towards Tooting. So we're going along into Long Road, which is this beautiful tree-lined street, boulevard as it were, if you want to be posh. So this is Long Road, so this is the northeastern side of Clapham Common. So this road was served by trams until 1950. Imagine travelling on a tram all the way along here, surrounded by trees. What a treat it would have been back in the 1930s and 1940s. So now we're heading westwards along Long Road. So we're now going through Clapham Common itself. Clapham being where Dennis Waterman from TV's Minder and New Tricks, that's where he grew up as a lad. Dennis Waterman actually grew up here in Clapham, and Dennis Waterman's dad actually worked as a ticket collector with British Rail at Clapham Junction Station, which is quite appropriate really, because in the 1960s Dennis Waterman made that film called Up the Junction, long before Squeeze made a hit of it back in the early 80s. So on the left hand side, that's Clapham Common itself. We've got the Clapham Common skate park, which is just here behind these trees. Ideal for all you skateboarders and rollerbladers and people like that. So we're going straight on westwards, continuing onto Long Road. And as you can see, we've got this lovely autumnal feel on Long Road here in Clapham Common. Very shortly I'll show you this impressive Victorian building on the right hand side as we come to the junction of Cedars Road. So at this next set of traffic lights we're going to continue straight on, but this set of traffic lights is the T junction, where you've got the junction with Cedars Road. And it's wonderful Victorian architecture. Look at this beautiful building here. Every time I walk past I always stop and marvel in awe at these two Victorian buildings. Superb. So this is the junction with Cedars Road. So that's Cedars Road, that leads off on the right hand side there. Now Cedars Road, that leads off towards Battersea. So we continue straight on towards Wandsworth, but if you turn right at this junction just down there, that's Cedars Road, that takes you towards Battersea. So now we've gone on to Clapham Common North side. So this street now is Clapham Common North side. As you can see, the schools are chucking out now. And what I like about this part of London with Clapham Common, it's so nice and leafy and rural, nice and bucolic, nice bucolic feel. And it's hard to believe you're actually in a densely populated part of inner southwest London. And that's probably one of the reasons why I'm so blessed to come from this part of London, because to me personally it's one of the best parts of London. So we now come to the junction of the South Circular Road. So if you turn left at this junction, that takes you towards Balham and Tooting. And also if you keep going along the A205, that takes you towards Tulse Hill and Norwood and places like that. But we're continuing southwestwards, westwards along the A3, along the bus and cycle lane. There we are, lights have changed to green, and forward we roll as we get closer towards Clapham Junction. Do excuse the jittery camera work, there's quite a few lumps and bumps along this bit of road, so don't blame me, it's the state of this road. We've got this fine church on the right hand side. The Church of St Barnabas on Clapham Common, with its distinctive bell tower. So very shortly we'll be coming into the southern end of Clapham Junction as we go down this hill. Look at this lovely architecture on both sides of the road. This is the real British Victorian street architecture now. So we're coming to this set of crossroads, so if you turn left at this junction that takes you towards Wandsworth Common, and if you turn right at this junction that takes you towards Clapham Junction and Battersea. And there you've got the famous Northcote pub on the left hand side, where they also do live music and stuff like that. So now we're going up Battersea Rise. This street is called Battersea Rise. There's a 49 bus on Route 49 on the start of its journey from Clapham Junction all the way up to White City. And there's a 219 approaching Journey's End on its journey from Wimbledon to Clapham Junction. Got another fine Victorian church here on the right hand side. And then very shortly we'll be crossing over the Brighton main line and the Southwestern main line, once we get through this little set of traffic lights and its obligatory rush hour queue of traffic. There we go, westwards we go. So that's St Mark's Church in Battersea, along with its bell tower. Prominent local landmark here in Battersea, stroke Clapham Junction area. So we've got this junction here as well, so if you turn left that takes you towards Wandsworth Common. All these lovely trees here. You've got these lovely London plane trees. These are what's called London plane trees. And it's just nice to see all these lovely trees in this part of London. It's just nice. That's the thing about London, it's got lots of buildings, but you're also blessed with lots of trees as well. And where would we be without trees and greenery, eh? So yeah, that's Bolingbroke Road down there, so that takes you all the way down towards Wandsworth Common and Balham, etc. We say Balham, all the posh people call it Balm, because posh people are a bit odd. We say Balham, they say Balm. You say banana, I say banana. So coming up now, this road bridge just in front of us, this is where we cross over the Brighton main line from Victoria. So just down here there's the Brighton main line. Oh, there we've got a southern train there. You've got a class 377 unit there curving off towards Wandsworth Common, Balham and East Croydon towards Gatwick Airport and Brighton. And then very shortly we've got this next road bridge which takes us over the southwestern main line from London Waterloo. So this road crosses over two different railway lines served by two different London stations. We've got number 77 coming into view on the right hand side. Number 77 bound for Waterloo, where we were earlier on this afternoon. So we're going to just look to the left. So we've got the main entrance. This is the entrance to Emmanuel School, which is these gates here. And then just here we've got the Southwestern Main Line. So that's the Southwestern Main Line from London Waterloo towards the likes of Wimbledon, Woking and Portsmouth. And unfortunately it was also the site of the tragic Clapham accident, railway disaster back in December 1988, where two trains crashed into each other, leading to a catastrophic loss of lives. All that was down to human error. So we'll be coming into Wandsworth in the next 5 or so minutes. So we're coming up to Wandsworth Common north side now. Got a group of builders on the left in their high-vis, all finished work for the day. Bob the builder, can he fix it? Bob the builder, no it's fucked. Lols. Bob the builder, can he fix it? Bob the builder, no it's fucked. Typical English saying that. It's fucked big time, mate. Oh, we've got a new 337 there. Ooh! One of the 24 plate buses on Route 337 from Clapham Junction bound for Richmond. I love Richmond in the evening. Yeah, so there's one of the new Wright electro liners there. See if I can get it against the sunshine. Maybe not. Can I? No. Sod it. So very shortly at this junction we're going to be turning right into Woodwell Street. So we're now going towards Wandsworth Garage in the direction of Wandsworth Bridge. So go straight through at these traffic lights as we head northwards towards the river. So now we're going on to Trinity Road, where very shortly we'll be going under the Southwestern Main Line from Waterloo, London Waterloo, out towards Putney, Barnes, Richmond, Twickenham and Reading. So this is the railway bridge which carries the Southwestern Main Line from London Waterloo out towards Richmond and Twickenham. Oh, we've got another new bus on the C3 there. There's one of the 24 plate Wright electro liners on Route C3 there, travelling from Clapham Junction to Earl's Court. So this is the southern side of the famous Wandsworth Bridge one-way system. Also coming up on the right hand side there's the Wandsworth Bridge branch of McDonald's, which is currently closed for refurbishment at the moment. I don't know why they're refurbishing it anyway. There's nothing wrong with it to begin with, but obviously McDonald's like wasting money, so well, that's their prerogative. So that's the McDonald's I normally go to occasionally when I'm at Wandsworth Garage and I have a light meal after work. So now we're on Swandon Way here in Wandsworth. So at these set of traffic lights coming up ahead we turn right into Smugglers Way. If you continue straight on along this junction, that takes you towards Wandsworth town centre itself. So we're going to be turning right at these traffic lights into the direction of Smugglers Way, and then we're going to head back into Wandsworth Garage. Not bad for 55 minutes coming up to. Nice easy 55-minute journey from Victoria Embankment into Wandsworth. Oh, another belch. Do excuse my belching. It's most unmanlike. Do I give a toss? No. So now we're turning into Mile Road, and then we'll be making the left turn into Wandsworth Garage, where I'll be stopping this video to allow the bus to get into Wandsworth Garage safely. So there's Wandsworth Bus Garage here, which used to be a tram depot until 1950. Was also a trolley bus depot until 1950 as well. So we're now coming back into Wandsworth Garage, so I'm going to terminate the video very shortly. Hope you've enjoyed this little ride as we journey through the streets of southwest London, so I'm going to cut the video here. Hope you've all had a good time. Hope you've enjoyed the video, and I shall catch you soon, and I shall say ta for the like.